Welcome back. Welcome back. Perks Recap Podcast once again. We are back. It is time to go over week 5 in the NFL. But we've got a big story before we get to that. Al, how you doing? Do you want to tell the people the big story? Although by now they probably know.
Yeah, boy, and we were just texting Fast and Furious ahead of time here because it just came out that Robert Salah, is that how we say it?
Salah.
Salah just got fired, which was it wouldn't have surprised me a little later this year, but it did surprise me right now. What did you think?
I thought it was a little early too.
Yeah,
A little
that was
earlier
a
than
very
I expected, but not unexpected. Still, like I expected this to happen eventually. Maybe even let him go the whole year.
mm-hmm.
Um, but I knew in 2025 he was not going to be the head coach. So, other than the fact that it's now instead of a little later, that's the only thing that's a little bit surprising about it.
I'm with you 100% because if they kept playing like they have been so far, I fully expected him to get fired at some point, but maybe not till the end of the season, maybe not until they were 5-10 or something. You know what I mean, or whatever it ended up being. But yeah, doing it right now did catch me off guard, and I'm not crying any tears for him. I don't think he was a very good coach, honestly, but it did surprise me it happened now.
Right. Well, the thing is, they came in with such high expectations and high hopes, and they're seeing it slip through their fingers right in front of their eyes right now. So I'm thinking that's why they did this. They don't want to throw the season away.
And that
Um,
makes, yeah, it does make some sense. I find it very interesting that they've. It doesn't surprise me because we know Aaron Rodgers would have a hissy fit, but they have gotten rid of Salah and kept Paul Hackett, who is a very polarizing coach in this league.
the other Hackett.
The other Hackett, what's his name?
You know what? To be honest, I don't know, but I know it's not Paul.
Buddy Hackett. I'll find it
Right?
while we're talking.
Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
find it while we're talking.
And good thing they did not make him the head coach. That's another thing I was thinking because
Yeah,
he's
that
because
would have
he's
been
the
insane.
Rogers buddy. I thought maybe he would be the head coach.
That would have been insane, and thank goodness they were bright enough not to do that. At least Nathaniel Hackett is his name. My apologies.
Nathaniel. There we go. All
Yeah,
right.
fascinating move, man. I'm curious to see if it moves the needle at all for this team.
Yeah, I mean, on paper, they're as talented as I think as literally anybody in the entire league. They really are, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But they just can't get it together.
yeah. The only issue with that is their offensive line isn't very good, and that stops a lot of it. But I'm with
Well,
you. Everywhere
it
else,
should be better though. I mean, Tyron Smith is there, and they lost one offensive lineman, and the whole thing went to hell.
I know. I don't think they were very good to begin with. That's the problem. And they added Smith, who's great. They got the guy from the Ravens got hurt, whose name I'm blanking on right now, and he's missed the last 2 games. Morgan Moses.
Yep.
Um, but I don't think the other 3 guys are very good. Brees Hall is averaging like Brees Hall somehow in the most dysfunctional of teams for the first 2 seasons in the league averaged almost 5 yards a carry. He is doing horrible this year. Like I don't know. I'm with you. They are a very talented team. Something's wrong. My guess is it's as much Paul Hackett as it is anything else. Oh, I'm sorry, Nathaniel Hackett.
Nathaniel.
I can't stop doing that. Nathaniel Hackett. Nathaniel Hackett.
um, yeah, I mean, the thing is, if they beat Buffalo this week, they're in first place in the division.
Yeah, which is crazy.
So that's probably why they did it now because it's still right there for them if they can play well.
And I understand that because and even at 2-3 and being 1 game from being at top of the division, they haven't looked good for more than a couple quarters all
No,
year.
no, not at all.
Which
That
is
Tennessee game, what's his face there? Levis just gave him that game.
right, 100%.
Yeah. So, all right, let's dive in,
Do it.
if you will, here. Oh man, Thursday night football. Wow,
That was awesome.
36-30. Atlanta wins over Tampa Bay. We both picked Atlanta, so we both got it right. By the way, we got off to a great start this week, but we'll get into that in a little bit. 36-30, and oh my goodness, Baker Mayfield. was efficient, 19 for 24, only threw for 100, threw for 180 yards. He did throw for 3 touchdowns. No one else really stood out on that side of things,
Yep.
but Kirk Cousins threw the ball 58 times, completed 42, 509 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And it still took every one of those yards and every one of those touchdowns to win this game because Tampa Bay was right there with them.
That's exactly right. That's exactly. It took every bit of it. And man, people were waiting for Kirk to look like Kirk in Atlanta. And man, the only thing that was weird about this one is that he did it in prime time. He usually stinks in prime time.
He also did it with I mean London, of course, but Mooney also came out for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, Mooney Pitts looked like a NFL tight end for the first time all season. Yeah, and Mooney's a real like Mooney, who I was big on. I talked about that signing in our offseason show, but and I liked it a lot. I didn't think it was going to be even as big as it was. Like he's a viable fantasy starter now and is a legit like almost a 1A or 1B. I mean, as opposed to a full on number two. He's playing really well with Kirk. So yeah, man, that's this was the game all Atlanta fans were waiting for the this Kirk Cousins era to fully kick in, and boy, did it kick in with a vengeance.
I mean, Tampa Bay spread the ball out in terms of rushing. They rushed for 160 yards. Atlanta only rushed for 73, but Bijan still looked pretty good. He at least got the bulk of the carries over Aljair, which the last few weeks Aljair has been getting just as many, if not more than Bijan, which didn't make any sense to me.
Well, here's where it makes and listen, I'm with you because especially from our selfish fantasy perspectives for sure. But here's where it made sense. I wish I thought to pull this up ahead of time, but I'll find it real quick. Here's why Tyler Algier was getting all those carries. He was more efficient than Bijan. Now I'm a Bijan guy. I think he's the guy. But check this out. If I can find it. Here it is. Prior to the Bucks game where he had 6 carries for 12 yards, okay?
Yep.
He had 27 carries for 166 yards. He averaged 7 yards a carry in game one, 5.9 in game two, 4.6 in game three, and 7.5 in game four. So as much as and I have Bijan Robinson in 4 of my 7 fantasy leagues, so it's been driving me bonkers. But I understand why they were doing it. Here's the good news for those of us that it was driving bonkers. This was the first time he was really bad. So look for Bijan touches to go up this week.
Right, and Bijan should be catching more out of the backfield as well.
I agree, 100%.
Okay, let's move on if you're ready.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Minnesota over the Jets 23-17. We both picked this one as well. We just talked about the Jets and all their problems and the firing of Salah. Um, we got into that a little bit. So just getting into this game, Aaron Rodgers is getting knocked all around. You mentioned it that they're not able to protect him. And he threw the ball 54 times. That's too many times for a 40-year-old quarterback who has no time to begin with, but he had no running game. They didn't have a choice. Brees Hall, 9 carries, 23 yards. Brain Allen, 5 carries, 13 yards. They ran for 36 yards.
Yeah, it's brutal. Brutal. He threw the ball 4 times less than Kirk Cousins and threw for about 300 less yards.
And 3 interceptions, which Aaron Rodgers, on his worst days, never has thrown for 3 interceptions. I mean, there's seasons where he's thrown, an
Yeah.
entire season and threw 4.
Right, totally, man, totally.
And he threw
Yeah.
3.
And here's the other thing about Salah getting fired and this whole Jet situation that a lot of people don't want to talk about. Aaron Rodgers isn't playing that good.
He really isn't.
And it's weird to see. And he was a couple nice at least one nice thing happened from this game. He found his connection with Garrett Wilson finally.
Yes, 13 catches. That's quite a bit.
Yes, because he was forcing the ball to Lazard the last couple weeks like insane amount. And Lazard is a decent receiver, but he's not a guy you want getting 10 to 12 targets a game. It's just no way, you
You
know.
know, you know what's strange about this game is the 3 interceptions is really what did them in because Minnesota did nothing.
Yeah.
Nobody in Minnesota really did anything at all. Darnold threw for 179 and was less than 50%, 14 for 31.
Yep.
No
His
touchdowns.
his worst game by far this season, no doubt.
Aaron Jones rushed for under 30 yards.
Well, Aaron Jones was really good, but he got hurt.
Right.
Aaron
He
Jones
had
was having a
one catch for 24 yards, seven rushes for 29 yards.
yes, he was that was all in the first quarter, and he never played again.
Right. Tyson Schiller ended up with 14 carries but 30 yards, so like 2 yards a carry. I mean, Jefferson had his 90 yards, but no one else was over 40 yards. I mean,
Yeah.
there was nothing that's jumping off the page that's like, oh, Minnesota really did this well. They really didn't.
No, I agree. I agree. But here's the other thing: it's a London game, so you get out of London with a win, and you forget the rest. As far as I'm saying, because they London screws up everything for everybody, and it messes up their week of practice, it messes up their travel, it messes up everything. So the fact that they got out with a win, good enough for me.
Well, you know what? That's a sign of a good team. You don't play your best, but
Exactly.
you're able to still get the win. So, and if anything, you should be more confident in Minnesota that they don't even need to have to play great and can still find ways to win instead of finding ways to lose.
Absolutely. And the thing that I've been ignoring and can't any longer is that Minnesota has one of the best defenses in football.
Yeah,
Which,
they really
which,
do.
I mean, I don't even know if they would have come to my mind if you asked me who the top 10 defenses in football would have been this year. I don't think I would have even considered them. So it's really impressive, and they are. Well, check this out. There are two teams that are head and shoulders above everybody else in yards per game allowed rushing. Okay, those two teams are the Baltimore Ravens, who are the best at 60 yards a game, and the Minnesota Vikings, 67 yards a game. The next best is the Chiefs at 88 yards a game.
Yeah. Yep.
So they're in a league of their own, man. You know, they really are. Now their pass defense isn't as good. They're towards the bottom third of the league in pass defense, but they have a really good rush defense. So if they can, I don't know, they're an interesting team, man. I'm just so still surprised at how good they've been that I don't know what to make of it, and I'm just trying to figure it out as we go. You know.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Let's move on here. Carolina 10, Chicago 36. Real quick, the only thing, Andy Dalton didn't play that well for the Panthers. Chuba Hubbard got 97 yards, and that's pretty much all that was noteworthy there. Um, but on to the Bears. Caleb Williams,
So
his best game. He is getting better and better. 20 for 29, first 300-yard passing game, two passing touchdowns. He also ran for 34 yards. DeAndre Swift looked great with 21 carries. Well, not great, but 21 carries, 73 yards, and a touch.
solid.
Roshan Johnson, who I still say is going to take over for DeAndre Swift and become the main running back here, had 10 carries, only 25 yards, but two touchdowns. He's like a bowling ball, that guy. And DJ Moore, 105 yards, which has got to sting a little bit to Carolina.
Yeah, no
Um,
doubt, no doubt.
105 yards and two touchdowns. But yeah, the coming out party for Caleb Williams, in my opinion.
That's exactly what I wrote on my paper. Caleb Williams coming out party. That's
Yeah,
funny. And this is the one. Now this is fascinating because they a combination of just early on him learning the ropes, the way they chose to call the game, there it was very conservative early with Caleb, except for the one game 2 games ago where he threw for two interceptions, and I think he got over 300 in that game. But it was shakier, and they were playing from behind the whole game, so it was forced. This was a game plan, and they were able to do whatever they wanted because they were in the lead the whole damn game. And you saw what they got to do when they want to now, and that was pretty cool to see, man. This is a big one for us that thought Caleb was the best guy coming out. There's still hope.
right. Uh, there absolutely is still hope. Absolutely. He's. It's going to be very interesting now the rest of the way. I mean, because this was Carolina, so let's keep that, in mind. But
For sure.
I definitely think that was his best game, and hopefully he could build off of it. I want to see what happens now.
I completely agree. And the Bears have weapons, man. You know, they have weapons. They have good running. They have at least, I think they have three good running backs because Khalil Herbert can play too.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
And I'm with you on Roshan and Swift. I like too. I mean, he's my new poster child for that stat that I like. But I think he's a good player. And
Swift should be like a swing back, like a third down back, and catching a lot more balls. And I would let Roshan be, do the dirty work in between the tackles.
I completely agree. They have the perfect combination of players to do what Baltimore's doing with Justice Hill and Derrick Henry, but they're not doing.
Well, speaking of Baltimore,
I
another fun one, 41-38. Baltimore gets the win. I tell you what, I thought Cincinnati had this. This game came down to the end. They don't miss that field goal, they probably win the game. They miss it. Baltimore gets the field goal. They win the game. My goodness, what a fun game. Cincinnati just can't catch any kind of a break whatsoever. And they're not going to make the playoffs, obviously, but I still don't write them off as an absolute dumpster fire. They are
no,
playing much better now the last couple weeks than they were early. They did their usual early swoon. They're just running into some bad luck and some bad opponents right after their swoon at the beginning. So it looks way worse than I think it's going to be by the end. Again, they're probably not going to play. They're not going to make the playoffs or anything because it's just too far behind now. But I still think Cincinnati's a good team, and they're going to play better. They keep playing like this the rest of the way. They're going to win their share of games.
I completely agree. They're a very good. Listen, they're going to be a really good team, but this early season crap might cost their coach his job. Um, what is it, Zach Stacy, I believe, right?
Yep.
Um, this is too good of a team and this is a pattern. You talked about it the first one of the first podcasts we ever did together. I hadn't really thought about it, and I looked into it, and you were dead right. And here it is again. And this is too good a team not to make the playoffs. Way too good a team.
Right, but they're not going to because they're too far behind.
Right, exactly. So um, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't see how this coach can survive without taking this team to the playoffs. It's too much of this early season crap. Like I don't know, man. It's got to be incredibly frustrating.
Like in their Super Bowl year, they started out bad, but instead of being 0-3 or 1-4, it stopped after the third game, and I think they only lost like one or two more the rest of the way.
Yeah, yeah, and he has a history of them, getting bad starts and then catching fire. And
That's
listen, he
it.
better do it this year. He better pull off 10 in a row and make the playoffs. Because if he doesn't, I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, the Bengals are notoriously slow to make change. Marvin Lewis, who I thought was a good coach but wasn't great, was there for what felt like 27 years. You know what I mean? Um, and so I don't know. Maybe he'll get some more rope than other franchises would give him. But to me, you have to be thinking about it after if this team doesn't make the playoffs.
Did you see the Jamar Chase touchdown?
Oh my God, yeah. He's incredible, man. He is one of a kind. He's
Listeners, if you haven't seen it, go on YouTube and find it.
for real.
Oh my goodness, or NFL highlights or whatever. Uh, that was incredible. Burrow threw for 392 yards and 5 touchdowns
I know, man.
and lost.
Yeah, it's incredible. The stat here's the stat some of the stats from the losing team that you didn't mention already. You had the Burrow one. Jamar Chase, by the way, ended up with he had 2 touchdowns, 10 catches, 193 yards. T. Higgins 9 catches for 83 yards and 2 touchdowns. Um, and that's the losing team.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's freaking incredible. And Lamar Jackson was unbelievable too. I'm trying to find. I know I wrote his stats down. I can't find
Uh,
it now.
oh, I got him. I got
Here it
Lamar
is.
right here. Yeah, unbelievable. 348, 4 touchdowns. Uh, he also ran for 55. Derrick Henry ran for 92 and a touchdown. Uh, Receiving, just Flowers was over 100. No one else was. Kohler was at 64. Bateman 58. They each caught a touchdown. Isaiah Likely only had 3 catches for 13 yards, but two of them were touchdowns.
Yeah. Oh, did you see the one touchdown that was
Oh my God!
that rollout play that started with a drop or a botched shotgun snap? That was insane.
And then he stiff arms the guy trying to tackle him and throws a friggin' pea across his body. Just unreal.
Incredible, man.
Unreal.
I thought when he threw that, when he was starting to make that throw, I thought he'd
I'm
thrown
like,
it away.
I thought. Well, I was thinking it's going to be a pick.
Oh, I thought, well, yeah, if it wasn't a throwaway for sure. But yeah, no,
Like
that's
while it
something
was in the air,
else.
and I realized it was not getting, it was not going to the out of bounds, it wasn't going out of bounds. I'm like, this is going to be picked off.
Absolutely incredible. That guy is something else, man. That is two fun quarterbacks to watch right there that have completely different styles, but are both incredible.
So good on Baltimore. Maybe they're starting to get going here a little bit, and will be what what we all thought they were going to be. Playing a little better now. Big road win in a just a bonkers kind of a game. Um, but kind of got a little lucky because if Cincinnati makes that field goal, they're going to win that game.
Yeah, yeah. I don't play around with that luck stuff. It is what it is, like
Right.
Parcells said.
Yep.
I'm with you though. They could. I mean, and listen, and that guy is a very good field goal kicker. So it was
Yeah,
surprising he missed it.
McPherson's a very good field goal kicker. That's why I think it's a little bit on the luck only because McPherson, I bet you probably 9 times out of 10 he makes that, or 8 times out of 10.
Well, we have gotten used to this era of 50 yarders becoming chip shots, but oh, what happened there?
Okay,
Can you,
Al, just had a call, but we're back. We're fine.
sweet.
Um,
All right.
just the last 5 seconds or so. What'd you say?
Yeah, I was just saying the. I will say I'm not going to call anybody lucky when a guy misses a field goal over 50 yards.
I would say that too, but this isn't 1990 anymore. 50 yards are nothing. People make 50 yarders like they're no big deal anymore. 50 yards like 40 yards now. Now it's 60 yards is like 50 yards, and even that is not that crazy. 60 yarders are there's like 160 yarder a week now made.
Yeah, which is insane, insane.
Totally insane. But anyway, let's move on to Houston and Buffalo because another close 23-20 game. Houston gets the win. We both got that right. By the way, we both got Baltimore right. We both got Chicago right as well. We haven't gotten one wrong yet. Um, this was another one. Some funny stats here in this one. Josh Allen was started the game 1 for 9
Oh,
passing.
this was insane. Keep going. This was I don't know what happened. I didn't get to see this game. The
Yeah,
stats blew my mind.
for the game he was 9 for 30,
That's unbelievable.
and they were right there at the end.
Yeah,
It took a field goal. Um, yeah, Josh Allen 9 for 30, 130 yards and a touchdown.
yeah. This game makes no sense to me.
Yeah, James Cook 82 yards and a touchdown. Um, yeah, there was there was a pick at some point that really helped them, but C.J. Stroud blew him out of the water. He had 330 yards, a touchdown and a pick. He ran for another 27. Diggs had a decent day. Nico Collins, I hope he's okay. By the way, he's my main receiver in one of my leagues, and
Yep.
he came up with that hamstring. But at least he did get a 60-yard touchdown while he was doing it.
You're right. Exactly.
So he still ended up with a decent day. Um, but yeah, Schultz and Tank Dell. What about this guy Ogunbowale?
Yes. Yeah. Dare Ogunbowale, who
Yeah, he only rushed for 30 yards on 15 carries, not good, but he caught 6 balls for another 57.
yeah, he's a definitely if you're in a PPR league and as long as Joe Mixon is out, he's a playable guy. Plus, they like giving him the ball around the goal line too, which is interesting.
Yep. Cam Akers was pretty efficient, 9 carries for 42 yards, so he might get more opportunities running the ball. I'm sure Ogunbowale, whatever his name is, will still get some, but yeah, used out of the backfield, he might be a sneaky pickup in fantasy leagues, and if you're in PPR league.
Absolutely. If you've been having if Mixon's been sitting on your IR for 3 weeks like me, he's definitely the guy to grab. I think, especially in PPR.
Yep. But Buffalo, Houston had this, and they let Buffalo back in. Buffalo scored 14 points in the fourth quarter, and that interception really hurt Stroud. That's what propelled them to get really really close,
Yeah,
and then they needed the field goal at the end, but they got it. And let's see here. They had no. Their third down efficiency, that's what I wanted to point out. They were
Hmm.
50% on third down, and Buffalo was 20%.
Ouch, ouch, and that's a lot of that explains a lot of that 9 for 30 because that's a lot of incomplete passes on third down. I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's got to be. It's got to be.
I can't fathom a world that exists anymore where Josh Allen goes 9 for 30. So I'm going to look NFL Network replays entire games during the course of the week, and I want to see if they replay this one because I'm going to watch the whole damn thing because I can't. I don't care. I know their receivers aren't the best, but they were at least healthy for what they have, except for Shakir. And it's not like freaking what Hurts was dealing with last week with their top three receivers out, for crying out loud. And Hurts played better than this.
Well, I
So
mean, you were talking about the field goals. How about Kwame Fairbairn, whatever,
yeah,
Farbairn, whatever the hell his name is?
yeah,
It's
that
hard
guy.
to pronounce.
Yes, I'm with you. I'm glad you went for it, not me.
59 yarder with 7 seconds left to win the game.
Incredible, incredible,
59.
absolutely incredible. Yeah, no, that guy's a stud. Like, there's a handful of kickers in this league right now that are well. You have your team has the best one. I mean, that guy's insane.
I
Um,
honestly, I swear to God, at the end of a half or something, at some point, for I want to see if they would let him try to kick a 70 yarder.
they were going to one game this year, and then
Yeah, they were
something
going
happened.
to, and then yeah, I think they got a 5 yard penalty or something,
Is that what it was? Yeah,
or
because I remember them.
something.
He was lining up for one.
Yeah, just I don't think I'll make a 70 yarder, but I mean he makes 65. He's made a couple over 65 already, or
He
around
might, dude.
65
He
already.
might. I mean, because some of those, like he makes those 65 yarders, and they're hitting the net. They're not just squeaking over. You know what I mean? So he might. If anybody's going to it, he's the guy. Wow. Yeah, but
But
yeah,
anyway,
it's a whole new era with kickers for sure, for sure.
yes, yes. All right, now we're gonna. Oh, real quick,
Hmm.
what would you consider a lot of penalties in the game? Because you know my crusade against all these penalties.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
talk about
Absolutely.
it every week.
I would say, I mean,
Both
like
teams
combine
combined.
both teams, if you like 7 to 10 would be
All
like
right.
10 would be a lot for sure. Seven
Okay.
to 10. You start getting to seven, and I'm starting to think about
All right. There hasn't been one with under seven or below yet that we've gone over.
it. That's insane.
Tampa Bay and Atlanta, 14 penalties.
Oh my god.
The Jets in Minnesota, 13 penalties.
Wow.
Carolina, Chicago, 9. Baltimore, Cincinnati, 9. Buffalo, Houston, 11.
Oh, that's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous.
I'm going to keep track as we go.
I love it. I love it. Yeah,
All
that's
right.
crazy.
Indianapolis and Jacksonville, 37. By the way, a lot of fun, high scoring games, a lot of good stuff. The defenses were kind of dominating early, which always happens, but now
Yep.
the offenses have caught up. There are a lot of high scores. Uh,
Yeah, well, like we talked about last week, the preseason is now over. Week 5 began week 1 of the NFL.
yeah, and this just enforces that.
Yep.
Uh, Colts, Jacksonville, 37-34. Jacksonville gets the win finally.
Huge.
And they're another team like Cincinnati. They're not going to make the playoffs, but they're playing much better, and I think they'll be a good team the rest of the way.
Yeah, I'm
A
curious
solid
because
team. I'll say a
I, I,
solid team.
I I think you're right, but I'm not sure. I don't know. I hope you're right because I certainly thought they were going to be a solid team coming into the season. Um, yeah, maybe you're right. I just don't know. They were so bad to start the season. I'm still reeling a little bit from it, but this was huge. This was huge, and Trevor Lawrence played great. He
Yeah,
had one pick, but
370 yards.
yeah, he had one pick, but other than that, he played incredible. ATN is working his way into mediocrity, and I don't. That's the one thing that's really stunned me with them this year. Tank Bigsby might get this job by the end of the season. He certainly outplayed him this week. 13 carries for 101 yards, 2 touchdowns. ATN 6 carries for 17 yards. And you and I are both big ATN guys. I don't know what's going on there.
Yep, he was. Yep, ATN did catch 6 balls for 40 yards.
And
Uh,
that's why he's not going to fall off the face of the earth because he'll have a role. Because Bigby, he has 2 catches since he's been in the NFL.
right, so he's not that guy.
Right.
By the way, there's a third rookie to start being talked about on the receivers, Brian Thomas Jr.
Oh
Five
yeah.
catches, 122 yards and a touch, and this kid's been doing it all year. He's been good every week.
Yeah, which is hard to do when the quarterback was playing the way he was.
Yeah.
So if Lawrence actually plays good or even decent, if he plays like he did this week, Thomas is gonna, go right to the Pro Bowl. But if he plays just mediocre instead of awful like he did the first 4 games, Thomas is just going to be have a season for. This is going to be incredible to see these numbers these rookies are putting up by the end of the year.
Yeah. Okay. Riddle, answer me this question.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell with Joe Flacco?
Well, I don't know, dude. It's like this guy comes off the bench last week, plays great. Then this week plays even better. If you told me Flacco was going to go 33 for 44 for 359 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and rush 3 times for 22 yards, Greg, he's had seasons where he hasn't rushed for 22 yards.
I mean, they don't have the running back.
Yeah,
Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor, yes,
Um,
yes,
Sermon didn't do anything. He got a touchdown, but 10 rushes, 30 yards.
yeah.
Alec Pierce comes out of nowhere for 134 yards and a touchdown.
Which he does a couple times a year. Remember, he was the one that caught that, what still is the throw of the year, probably, from Richardson in game one.
Yep, and Josh Downs led the team with 9 receptions. It was good though to see Michael Pittman get in there, get in the end zone as well. They've actually got some talent on the outside with Pierce, Downs, and Pittman. Um, but Joe Flacco, I just don't get it, man.
It blows me away. Absolutely blows me away. This guy looked like he was dead in the water 8 years ago.
Yeah, like this is not something that's been continuing from the very beginning.
It's mind boggling, man. It really is. He only had a couple years where he was that good when he was in his prime, where he was playing games like this. He was a very they kept the shackles on him a lot, and then he would have these great playoff runs that were legendary. But he wasn't an offensive explosion sort of quarterback for most of his career. And
Yeah,
now I don't even know how old he is now. He's got to be pushing 40, and he's just tearing it up every time he plays. It's so wild to see, man.
yeah. Well, we got that one right, right as well. So no wrong ones yet, but of course here comes one.
Yeah. Which
Uh,
one?
Miami at New England, 15-10. Talk about ugliness. Oh God, 15-10.
Oh, brutal, dude, brutal. A couple things I want to say about this one. First of all, Devon Achan got a nasty concussion. They were like I heard whispers about him going on the IR within seconds of the thing happening, which you don't ever hear about concussions unless it's their quarterback, Tua.
Yep.
So hopefully he's okay. Uh, what they did figure out to do is they got a little more stable in the second week of Snoop Huntley, who didn't, he didn't play awesome, but it wasn't a total, just absolute mess like it was in the first week. And they got Mostert back and Jalen Wright, who I've been talking about since I saw him play at Tennessee. Mostert ran for 19 times for 80 yards. Wright ran 13 times for 86 yards and that's all after HN went out. So they against one of the worst teams in football, they figured something out. I don't know how much that's going to translate against decent teams, but at least they did it against the Patriots.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't have a whole lot to say about this game. I mean, Miami, they're they're snake bitten that right now. I mean, they can't really beat anybody of any worth right now, and we don't know what the status of Tua is. They just beat a really bad team, and weren't even that impressive doing it. Um,
Yep.
Ramondre Stevenson on the other side did rush for 89 yards and just 12 carries and a touchdown on my bench in fantasy, of course.
Oh, and why? And he should have been because he was benched going into that game.
Yeah, that's the whole reason why I had him in the starting lineup, and then I heard he's not starting, so I was like, oh
I
well, I got to get him out of there, and I did.
I did the same thing. I did the same thing.
Ugh.
The only good news for me is I replaced him with Kareem Hunt, which we'll get to.
Replaced him with Javante Williams, which wasn't awful either, but not what he was a little less than what Stevenson ended up doing.
Yeah, Stevens had a heck of a game, no doubt.
But yeah, not a whole lot here other than did we say this off air or on air that Drake May is now going to be starting for Miami? It was announced,
Yep, that was all fair. So
or
glad you brought it up.
for New England, not Miami.
Yes, that's the Drake May. Ooh, the Drake May era begins, and we know he's mobile, and boy, is he going to need it playing behind that offensive line. So I wish him all the best. I think I liked him coming out. I didn't like him as much as the top two guys, but I thought he had a lot of potential and it's a real chance to be good. I did not like his landing spot in the draft. Let's see how it works out.
Okay, just one last thing here. The Indianapolis Jacksonville game had 8 penalties, which is the lowest we've had so far.
Okay,
But
okay,
Miami, New England just jumps up with 18.
good. What the hell?
The Patriots themselves had 12 penalties.
That's insane, Craig. That's insane.
They're out of control. These penalties are out of control.
Incredible.
Oh, I just hate. I just. There's a flow to a game, and it just
Yes,
ruins any kind of flow. It just
completely
stops
ruined it.
everything. It sucks.
Yeah, it's like it's awful. How do you know? Do you know? I'm asking you a question you probably don't know the answer to, but do you happen to know the answer to how many penalties there were in that Giants Cowboys Thursday nighter that seemed like it took 7 hours to play?
I can go back and find out from you. You're talking about the one, the like week 2 or whatever it was.
Yeah, I can't remember what week, but yeah, that whenever they played on Thursday night, because I remember we texted at one point that evening about what painful game this was to watch.
Yeah, I'll try to go back and find that. I should be
Yeah,
able
whenever
to.
you can. No worries. I was just curious. I knew you. Bad on me for asking one. I knew you wouldn't have the answer for, but I was curious because that to me that was the toughest one to watch this year that I sat through in that entire game as far as penalties. So I'm curious to see what that number was.
All right, we both got that one wrong because we both thought New England, Miami hadn't been playing good at all. They still didn't play good, and we thought maybe New England. We've been saying New England's probably going to win 3 games or something or 4 games, so they got to come from somewhere.
And that might have been one of them. Yeah, and we both took them because they were the home team, and they were two crappy teams going in. I think, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, on to a team that I hate, but a quarterback that I can't help but love. Jaden Daniels.
Woo!
He is not only in the running for the Rookie of the Year, he's in the running for MVP, in
No
my
doubt about it.
opinion.
No doubt about it. 100%. I'm going to look up the. Go ahead and talk about this team first. I'm going to look up the current NFL MVP odds while you're talking.
Sure. Daniels was only he was only 14 for 25, 238 yards, a touchdown and a pick, but then he ran 11 times for another 82 yards. And
Incredible.
he
So,
was he was able to finally get Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin is come back to life. The ghost of Terry McLaurin is alive and well.
yes.
4 receptions, 112 yards, and I think when you got a young quarterback like that, maybe it takes a little time to get in sync with a veteran receiver. But finally, they were smart enough to we got to get this guy more involved, and it seems like they're making a concerted effort to do that, and it's paying off because he is still their best receiver by far.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
No doubt about it. It's nice to see him have life again. I'm so with you.
yeah, and Eckler, they're really I don't know like. When did Eckler become that old guy that you barely use?
I know, man. I know. Now he was coming off a week out, so I think that's part
Right,
of the
but even
reason.
before that, they're not really using him. And last night, Eckler was like an absolute stud. We talk about fantasy a lot, but he was
Yep.
like a first round pick for years and years. And he's not that old where you would think that he's not gonna he got 6 carries, but he got 67 yards. And then he
Yeah.
caught 2 balls for 30 yards. I mean, but he should be. I mean, I know they've got other guys. They've got Brian Robinson, who I really like, but he only had 7 carries for 18 yards, but he did have 2 touchdowns. And I know Daniels runs a lot too. So there's only one football. But if you're going to make one guy your main back, I'd make it Eckler. Or at the very least, it'd be a split between him and Robinson more. And Robinson's been dominating the carries. And Eckler gets a couple catches a game, but I don't know. I thought he'd be featured a lot more because when he was going strong, he was one of the very best in the entire league.
I agree. I mean, he's Listen, I get not wanting to make him a the bell cow he was in San Diego for 5 years at this point in his career. But to me, if he's not touching the ball at least 10 or 15 times a game, you're wasting him. I don't understand it.
Yeah, yeah, and he's not getting close to that.
Yeah, no, not even close. Not even close. And listen, I like Brian Robinson Jr. I don't like him as much as Austin Eckler when he's playing his best. Like,
Right,
you know,
right. And I do like Brian Robinson. He can definitely carry the rock for sure. I wouldn't even be upset if there was a total 50-50 split. That's fine, but it's not. Other than this game, but before that, all the other weeks before that, when they were both playing, other than the game that Eckler missed, but when they were both playing together, Robinson was getting way more carries.
well, listen. I'm so with you. It's fascinating because they're doing a lot of. Despite my issues with their offensive coordinator, they have been unbelievable this year. They've done everything right in the development of Jaden Daniels, but I don't understand what they're doing with their backfield, and they have other issues too. Their run defense stinks. The run defense is ranked one spot below the Eagles.
Yeah, it's bad. Um, the Browns, I mean, one of the worst teams in the league now. I mean, just an
Yeah,
absolute dumpster fire.
completely agree.
Total mess. Deshaun Watson is just awful. 125 yards and a touchdown, just barely over 50% throwing, 15 for 28. Nothing of note in the rushing or receiving. I understand they don't have Chubb, but still, nothing's going on here. And I don't see how it's going to get any better. I mean, just not good at all. And by the way, 13 penalties in this game.
Oh my god! I mean, that's just nuts, man.
No, I'm
Uh,
sorry. I'm sorry. 14. 14.
oh, good, even better. Yeah,
Nine
that's
plus
that.
five is 14. Cleveland, Cleveland had nine. Yep,
Man, that's brutal. That's brutal. Yeah, the Browns are screwed. They have 2 more years of this Deshaun Watson contract, unless they're even if their owner's willing to eat it. It's
it's on
fairly
their
on the
cap.
cap.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, I've never seen an owner eat there's never been a guaranteeing contract in the history of the NFL, so no owner's ever had to eat one. So I don't know if it'll happen or not. They might just trot him out there for another 2 years, which is insane to me. But yeah, he
absolutely.
stinks. He'll never be the same. Their vaunted defense isn't what we thought it would be. Even you know what I mean, and maybe they're just too beaten down from the rest of the team stinking so bad. But they're not as good as we thought either. That's not helping either.
Yep.
And they're just a bad team. They are just a bad team from top to bottom, except for a few players here and there, and
Yeah, and their defense is not nearly what we thought.
not nearly, man, not even
I mean,
close.
because we thought best in the league.
I thought they were a top five defense lock, and they're nowhere near that.
Right, right, right. So,
Um, Yeah. Oh, and the last thing I want to say real quick is I found the odds in order. Now this is interesting to me. In order, take a guess who the best odds to win MVP are. The most likely to win MVP right now.
is it Sam Darnold?
No, although it's a reasonable guess, but it's somebody that I definitely wouldn't have expected to be there given the way the season started.
Is it Mahomes?
Boom, boom.
Yeah,
Now they are 5-0, but and statistically, it's not. It's one of his worst starts. So it's it's just interesting. Number two, Josh Allen, which obviously took a hit last week, but understandable. Number three, Lamar Jackson, who I would have probably number one right now.
yep,
And then C.J. Stroud, number three, Jaden Daniels, number four, number
yeah,
five. Sorry, C.J. Stroud, number four, Jaden Daniels, number five.
yeah. But he's there. His name's
He's
up there.
there. He is there, and he's a rookie quarterback, and that is almost unheard of. That's pretty cool.
All right, let's go to this shit show here.
All right.
Las Vegas at Denver, 34-18. Denver dominates. Vegas, the Raiders stink.
Yeah, yeah, they're awful.
It's time to say it. They stink.
They're awful. Antonio Pierce's career is going to be a 2 years as a year and a half. I mean, as a head coach. Um,
Now I picked Vegas and got it wrong. You had the caveat of O'Connell, but did you say that he was going to play or was that he was
start.
going to start? Okay, because I gave you the win thinking that you meant he started because he ended up playing and actually threw three more passes than Minshew, but it was all in the second half, and Minshew definitely started. So I gave you the win.
Yes, it was definitely that. It was definitely if O'Connell started.
You picked Denver 9-6.
Yeah, yeah, man. I thought that was going to be. I don't know. I do know the Raiders stink now. I don't know if this is Sean Payton. Bo Nix had his best game as a pro by far.
Yes.
Uh, 19 for 27, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions for Bo Picks, which is big for him right now.
Right.
He also had the weird stat line of rushing 8 times for 9 yards. But the one thing I want to mention, and I'm guilty of getting hung up on offense a lot, which is understandable because it's a fun part of the game. But let's not forget to mention Patrick Surtain. This guy,
Oh, that pick.
whew,
Yeah.
he had two of them, and the one was ridiculous. He
Yep.
is one of the very few true shutdown corners in the game today, and it is insanely difficult to be a shutdown corner with the way they have shackled the cornerbacks over the years. It is far. Listen, there are the great players from like Deion Sanders would still be a shutdown cornerback today, but in his era, he could molest the guy before the ball got to him, and there wouldn't be a flag.
Right.
So, not that he did. I mean, he wasn't a very physical guy anyway. He was amazing and would be maybe the best cornerback of all time under any rules. But nowadays, you can't breathe on the guy without getting a flag. So, for to exist as a true shutdown cornerback in today's NFL is more difficult than it's ever been, and this guy is one. It's impressive.
Other than Brock Bowers, nothing really to talk about on the Raiders side.
Yeah, Bowers is a beast. Everybody else stinks.
Mentioned Javante Williams, 13 carries, 61 yards, then another 5 catches for 50 yards. So not bad.
Nice game.
Um, led the team in receptions and receiving yards. There wasn't a whole lot of offense in this game at all, even though it was 34-18. But you look at the numbers here, nobody did anything. Like it's just not a whole lot of McLaughlin had the touchdown, but he had 3 catches for 3 yards.
Right, totally, man.
Josh
Totally.
Reynolds had the one catch and it was a touchdown for 9 yards. Like, yeah, they got helped out by those turnovers, obviously. And by the way, good lord, they also got helped by this. Vegas had 11 penalties.
Oh my God.
Denver had 9, which means this game
20?
had 20 penalties.
That's insane. That's insane. You're always going to see big numbers in Raiders games because for whatever reason, the
They
teams
are
lack.
historically always bad.
Always, it's like the it gives it's like the putting red on a in a bullfighter. The officials must call penalties against the Raiders, but that doesn't explain the massive amount against the Broncos too. So wow, that's something else, man. Wow,
All right. Okay, here was the shocker we both got wrong. Arizona 24, San Francisco 23. We both
wow,
got it wrong.
wow, wow,
Good
wow.
Lord. What is going on in San Francisco? I know they've got the injuries, but Debo and Ayuk were both there. Kittle was there. The only one they're missing now is McCaffrey, and it didn't matter because and Jordan Mason's filling in admirably. He had 89
That's
yards on 14
absolutely.
carries. So what's going on? Uh, and their defense didn't play that bad either. Arizona, Arizona's a weird team to figure out.
They really are.
I mean, Murray only threw for 190 yards, 195 yards, a touchdown and a pick, nothing special. Connor had 86 yards. Murray did have that one run though.
Yes. What was
Yeah,
it like a 50 yarder for a touchdown, something like
yeah,
that?
he had 83 on the ground total.
Yep.
That's what really put him over the top. But again, nobody went totally crazy. That would explain exactly what happened here.
Yeah, well, here's part of it, and that's cool you said that because San Francisco was up 23-10 in this game,
Yeah, yeah.
and then they had a blocked field goal return for a touchdown.
Right. I mean, yeah, weird shit happened.
That's part of how this game went down. So you called it perfectly. And note, who would have thought that 5 games into the season that the 49ers would be 2-3 and the Cardinals would have the same record as them?
Nobody would have thought that, but has your opinion changed of the Niners?
It has to now, at least. Like they're not missing anybody but McCaffrey. Like this is crazy. Like like that. I can't blame it on injuries at all. Um, like it's just insane. Like they have they had that big. I'll say this: they had that big injury on their defensive line. My former defensive tackle that I
Yep.
loved. who I'm blanking on his name right now, but you know who I'm talking about, Javon
Yeah.
Hargrave.
Yeah.
So that's their run defense is bad this year. I think I saw they're ranked 20th. I have it pulled up. I'll find it as quick as I can. Uh, but they are not the same defense for sure. Purdy's not playing that well. Um, he's throwing a lot more picks than he has in the past. I don't know, man.
It
I
seems
don't
like
know.
he's taking more chances.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's absolutely fair. Yeah, I don't know what to make of it, man. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. I'm gonna
Yeah.
say.
It's very
What do you think?
surprising.
Yeah, I mean, do you think? I, I don't know what to say about it, man. Because now,
Yeah.
my part of my big hesitation is they had that 3 or 4 game stretch last year where they looked like total ass. You remember that?
Yeah, for no good reason.
For no good reason. They were missing like 2 guys. You know what I mean? And it was like, okay, but I mean, my Eagles missed 3 receivers last week. Nobody's crying for you. You know, so I don't know, man. I don't know. Are they gonna right the ship like they did last year, or are they now entering a new terrain of just not being the great Niners that they've been for 3 or 4 years? I don't know.
I don't know either. It's hard, and their next week's game is impossible to pick, but we'll get to that. Um, all right, I'm ready to move on if you are.
Yes, sir.
All right. Packers Rams. We both got this one right, picking the Packers 24-19. Jordan Love was not great, not stellar, 15 for 26, but 224, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Josh Jacobs uh, just doing Josh Jacobs thing, 73 yards and a touch.
Nice.
Jaden Reed is clearly their number one receiver and played pretty well.
Yep.
Tucker Kraft played
Dude,
well and got 2 touchdowns.
if that guy's somehow still available in your fantasy league, get him now.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. Um, on the Rams side, Stafford threw the ball too many times, 45 times. Have you ever noticed the correlation of throwing the ball a lot and losing?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. It's rare that you get the Kirk Cousins through 58 times and they win the game.
Right, right, right.
Very rare.
29 for 45, 260 yards, a touch, and a pick. Kyron Williams is a stud, though. 22
Yeah,
carries, 102 yards, a touch. I really like that guy. I
I do
really
too.
do.
He's a heck of a player, man. There's there's injury concerns with him because he's tiny, but he is playing like a beast. And if you can put up those kind of numbers on a team where there's not much else to worry about right now, that's impressive,
Yeah. I mean, Tutu Atwell is their main guy, really.
man. My nickname for him is the Bishop.
Jordan Whittington, is that a tight end or a receiver?
He's a receiver. It's
He actually had more. He had catches for 89 yards. But talk about coming out of nowhere.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I got to give the Fantasy Pros guys some credit because I heard this guy's name last week before the games, and I was like, "Who the heck are they talking about?" And then he went out and had a good game. So those Fantasy Pros guys can be on their stuff. I don't agree with everything, but they were very, very good on this one. They called this on, and I never even heard of the dude. So then he left the game with a shoulder injury and was in a sling afterwards. So I don't know his status for next week.
All right. Well, yeah, Green Bay is rounding into form now. I think they're going to be a force the rest of the way.
I agree.
They're a good team. Uh, the beginning of the season is just weird, man, for all these teams. It's just weird, but you start to see teams rounding into shape now. And some of these teams that we were expecting to be a little better than they were, injury concerns and other things that are a factor, obviously. But Green Bay is one of those teams that we had high hopes for, and I think that's going to be fulfilled. I think they're going to be a good team.
I agree with you, man. I think they're going to be a contender in the playoffs, and they're going to battle Detroit to the end for that division.
Very hard out in the playoffs too.
I completely agree. Completely agree.
All right. Well, to be fair, the Arizona San Francisco game only had 5 penalties combined.
Well, hey, there's one. Jeez, let's get that crew calling all the games.
Well, then we go back to the Green Bay game that we were just talking about. We're back up to 11.
Oh, jeez, okay. Which is a relatively light number compared to some of these other ones you're talking about. Holy
Well,
moly.
considering that you were saying 5 to 7 was like the
Seven to
average,
ten, 7 to 10,
or 7 to 10, 7 to 10.
and all of them except the one you just mentioned have fallen into that range or way more. That's crazy.
Yep. All right. Well, Another one we got wrong. Another shock.
Oh boy.
29-20, the Giants beat Seattle. And if you watch that game, and I watched this game, almost every play,
Mm-hmm.
just about every play, the Giants should have beat them way more. The Giants outplayed them in every aspect.
Wow. Wow. I don't know what to say about this one, man. I didn't get to see this other than highlights. So I mean, listen, we were both pulling the reins back on Daniel Jones' blows the last couple of weeks because he's been playing a little better and a little better. And this is probably one of the best games. I mean, you saw it, but this has to be one of the best games he's played in his career. 23 for 34, two touchdowns, no picks, ran 11 times for 38 yards. Was solid, no turnovers unless there was a fumble I didn't catch. Um,
Without neighbors.
without neighbors, absolutely. And Tyrone Tracy comes out of nowhere and runs 18 times for 129 yards.
Yep, Darius Slayton, 8 catches, 122 yards and a touch. But they won this on their defense, too. They
Okay.
sacked Geno Smith 7 times.
Yeah, I saw Dexter Lawrence had three of them.
And do you know that right now the league leading team in sacks in the NFL is the New York Football Giants?
Well, it makes sense. I mean, we both talked about their defensive line coming into the season, and they started off a little slow, but they've obviously picked it up. I mean, that is impressive.
Yep.
And that's not a nobody team. They just went to the West Coast and took out, man.
Yeah, on the road, a team that we've said all along is a solid team, solid as a rock. Had them
Absolutely.
winning this game. I had it close, but you had it, a little bit more of a distance between them. But we both had them winning, and they couldn't get anything going on the ground, especially because they like I said, it wasn't as close as the score would make it seem. In my opinion, just watching the game, it was another one of those games where I'm watching it and going, they're going to win this game. Like I was talking about last week, certain games, I was like, there's no way they're not going to,
Right, right.
one particular
Absolutely.
team's going to lose or whatever. I'm watching it going, the Giants are going to win this game
Incredible, man. No,
the whole time.
I can't even imagine. That one stunned me. Like I have to reassess the Giants completely now.
Um, yeah, Kenneth Walker rushed for 5 times and Charbonnet rushed twice. That's it. And then
Yeah,
Geno Smith had 4 rushes as well. But actual running backs running plays, handing off, they did it 7 times
that's crazy.
for
So
no
the Giants
for like
obviously
the
they got
yardage
ahead early, I
was
assume.
bad. What's that?
The Giants got ahead early, I assume.
Um, actually, Seattle scored first, it made it 7-0. But then the Giants scored 10. No, at halftime it was 10-10.
How the hell do you have a 10-10 game and have only 7 rushes at the end of it? That doesn't make any sense. That's bad job by the Seattle offensive coordinator.
I would say, yeah. Kenneth Walker did catch 7 balls for 57 yards.
He's a great player, man. He's a massive injury risk, but he is awesome.
Lockett had 75 yards. Metcalf had 55. Um, but the time of possession was one of I think the best of the week in terms of the biggest margin. The Giants had the ball 37 minutes and Seattle had it 22.
That's amazing. And Tyrone Tracy, like I mean, this guy comes out of nowhere, and he wasn't even was he drafted or was he a rookie free agent? Do you know off the top of your
I,
head?
I don't know if he was drafted. He was drafted after I checked out of the draft.
Yeah, I'll
Sixth,
find
seventh
him while
round
we're
or
talking.
something maybe, and I just didn't even see it.
Yeah, because I don't I'm not as good as I used to be knowing all the players that are coming out, but I never even heard of the guy. And let's see what it says here. He must have been a free agent because it always tells you if they're a pick. So yeah, just says he was from Iowa, played for Iowa and Purdue, and that's that.
Yep.
Um, yeah, wow. So
37 minutes to 20, 37 and change to 22 and change.
that's impressive. That would be impressive if they did it at home, but to do it on the road or going on the West Coast. I
And
mean, listen,
sacks allowed, Seattle 7.
this incredible, man, incredible. And again, that says please run the ball more. You know.
Right. 8 penalties in this game, so kind of still on the higher side, but not like the other ones.
Okay. Man,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah.
that game just blows my freaking brain out.
I'm not completely, totally reassessing the Giants, but if any thought of them or hope for us, because we're not fans of them, being pathetic and laughing stock again, I think are pretty much out the window.
Yeah, I have to agree with that, and it bums me out.
Yeah, one of my great funnest things to do on a football Monday after the games is going on YouTube and watch all the Giant fan reactions of them just crying and stuff. Oh, it's so much fun.
That's awesome.
I
That's
really do. I do it every week. Every week they lose, I go check it out. I go check those
oh,
out.
that's so awesome. I
And
love
then
that.
whenever they win, I don't go there. I don't look at
Yeah,
it.
I don't blame you. Yeah, that's so funny, man. Oh man, yeah. Oh, and I asked you this in our one of our true and false things a couple weeks ago. After Daniel Jones had played mediocre, solidly mediocre for a couple weeks in a row, if he played like that, does he have a shot to stay the Giants quarterback next year? And we both said no.
I
If he
still say
plays,
no.
I don't. If that dude play, if he gives you those kind of games the rest of the season, why the hell wouldn't you keep him?
Well, for me, I think he's got to throw for 4,000 yards and over 25 touchdowns to keep the job.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, if he throws for 3,822, I think you're going to have a hard case getting rid of him.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess we'll see. We'll see. Obviously,
Yeah. I mean, listen, I thought the odds were so low coming into this season that I don't know what it's going to take exactly for them to want to keep him. And you might be right, but there's a lot of people that like Daniel Jones a lot more than you and me, and most of them are in New York. So,
Well, yes. All right. Well, here's another game that doesn't make any damn sense. We both got this one wrong. For no good reason, Dallas beats Pittsburgh 20-17. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm ecstatic about it, but
sure, of course, big
it
win for the
makes
Cowboys.
no sense.
No sense.
Oh, by the way, 19 penalties.
Yeah, this one was another brutal one, man.
Dallas with 11.
Yeah, and they needed to make the game longer after starting with a 2-hour weather delay.
Yeah, with the rain and the lightning. But Dallas outgained them 445 yards to 226. On that Pittsburgh defense, they without Brandon Cooks, without one of their offensive linemen, and of course, and then on defense, they were just a complete disaster. Dallas holds them to 226 yards, and they get 445.
Yeah, you couldn't have read stats that made less sense to me going into that game. Like it blows. Nothing in that game computes. Um, I don't know if I was wrong about the Pittsburgh defense being championship caliber because that didn't look like a championship caliber defense to me. I don't know what the hell to think. Did Josh Fields leave the door open for Russell Wilson with that game?
Yeah, because Fields did not play well.
He played okay, but he went, like it wasn't something that I would be like, oh yeah, he's got to keep the job now, like
Right, right,
So,
right.
um, the neat thing for the Cowboys, I believe your guy Rico Dowdle has firmly claimed that job finally.
Yeah, 20 carries, 87 yards. Elliott, 6 carries. But I tell you what, Brandon Cooks can stay hurt because Jalen Tolbert is a player.
Yeah. Yep.
7 catches, 87 yards, and a touch. And I got to say, you want to talk about stressful at the end. Holy shit. I mean, did you see the entire game or no?
Oh yeah.
At the end, the last play of the game, I could not, I was losing my mind. It was like I was in high school again, like pacing around and stuff.
Yeah. The fourth and goal. Yeah, that was insane. That was absolutely insane.
Oh my
Uh,
God.
I,
And Tolbert made that catch. And yeah, overall, I'm ecstatic. Like I said, I'm surprised they were able to. Dak threw for 352 yards.
yeah, against the Steelers, it's something
Yeah,
else.
I don't get it. I don't understand.
Yeah, this one just did not compute for me at all. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what to make of it. They and the by the way, the Cowboys lost. I don't know if did he ever come back into the game, but one of the replacements for the two hurt defensive ends got hurt like on the first drive of the game and
Yeah,
went out.
yeah.
And,
They had all young, all guys who were either rookie free agents or just guys, at the back end of the roster playing on defense and played well.
and the Steelers still couldn't run on them.
Not at
Steelers
all.
still could not run them. We talked last week going into that game about which rash of injuries was going to hurt which team more, and your team covered for your injuries better than the Steelers.
I tell
Um,
you what, though, the Cowboys injuries, we got to get straight. I mean, oh my God, we need both of our defensive, our edge rushers back. We need what's his face back there, the corner,
Bland.
Bland. I always blank on his name. Yeah, we need, if we get Bland back and those two guys back, our defense will be at least a little better. I would assume. But wow, wow, wow! I was just super impressed, super surprised. And you're right about Pittsburgh. Fields only threw for 130 yards.
Yeah, and now you were missing two star defensive linemen. They were missing two of their three. I'm sorry, of their starting offensive linemen. So
Yeah,
I think that's part of why Fields struggled so much. But it just wasn't pretty, man. They did something weird in this game, which I question, which was because I've watched every Steeler game this year because they're in my home turf and for TV, and they called more design runs for Justin Fields in that game than the other games combined. They did that one where he would just roll out left or right and follow blocks and just charge into the
yeah,
defense. You know,
yep.
they did that. They play at least 5 times, and I hadn't seen it all once or twice maybe all year before that. So it was very odd that they switched up their game plan. I didn't understand. I thought they were going to come in and feed Najee Harris a lot and try and take advantage of that bad Cowboys run defense. They didn't do it. So I don't
He
know.
had 14 carries for 40 yards.
Yeah, he was non-effective, and I didn't like the way they were calling plays, and I don't
The
know.
Steelers
It was interesting.
are built on defense and running, and if they're not going to run for at least 100 yards or more, it should actually be more. They're in
Mhm.
trouble, and they only had 92 yards total.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's factoring in Fields, who probably had at least 30 of that.
Yeah, that's factoring in Fields. Yes,
Yep. So yeah, I'm with you, man. No, that was a big win for the Cowboys. That's going to be huge at the end of the year.
I believe so too. I definitely definitely enjoy that. But again, the 19 penalties right there. Okay,
Yeah, that's nuts, man. That is nuts.
all right. And by the way, what's his face? Oh, geez, not Diggs. He's back to being one of the best corners. I think he shut down
Pickens.
Pickens. Pickens only had 3 catches, and he was on him most of the day.
Yeah, I started Pickens in a league, and that was a bad mistake.
Yeah, 3 catches, 26 yards is not going to get it done. All right, let's see here. Let's get to the last one. Kansas City last night against New Orleans. We say last night. We talk about today. The Robert Saleh getting fired a little bit before he started this, but everybody will hear this on Wednesday. So just know that we record on Tuesdays.
Right on. Yep.
But anyway, Kansas City 26, New Orleans 13. And once again, what did you think of Kansas City in this game? Are they looking better to you or no?
Kansas City looked 8,000% better than any other game they looked this year. You talk about games that could have gone different than the score. This game could have been 57-13.
I agree. Juju
I couldn't
Smith
believe it. I was
Schuster,
stunned, Craig.
the ghost of Juju Smith Schuster,
Yes, yes. Yeah,
emerged
man.
too.
I mean, I haven't been that excited about Juju since the last time I got him to go and to eat at a movie.
Right, or the last time he was on the Chiefs.
Yeah, dude. That was really impressive. Travis Kelsey was unbelievable. Um,
Yeah, 9 catches for Kelsey.
yeah, yeah. Kareem Hunt, it looks like it's 2019, 2018 Kareem Hunt.
Yep,
Uh,
102 yards rushing. Mahomes 330 yards passing. No touchdowns for Mahomes though.
it's weird because he is now they made a weird comparison to him and Troy Aikman in that game. Did you catch that?
No, I didn't.
The announcers, I didn't buy it, but they were starting to. They were like, he's turned into more of a game manager, like Troy Aikman, where he's a great player, but the stats aren't there. Now, I think it's a little different circumstance,
Yeah.
but it is true that he's playing well in real life, but not producing in fantasy right now.
Oh yeah. Talk about not producing. Right now in fantasy, after 5 games, how much money would you have won if you had told somebody, uh, I think Daniel Jones will have more fantasy points than Mahomes after five games?
I would have bet my house on that, and I would be homeless.
Yeah, Daniel Jones right now has 91 fantasy points. Right now, Mahomes has 88.
I have Mahomes in 4 of my 7 leagues, and I didn't start him in one of them this week, and that is just crazy to me.
Yep, but that's insane. That's insane to me. Daniel Jones has more points than him.
I can't believe it. I mean, that's a great stat. I didn't know that. It doesn't surprise me based on how the season went, but if it would have
Oh,
surprised me at the beginning of the season. Holy crap!
Kansas City was winning these games a lot too on their defense. Their defense is fantastic. They have not given.
Incredible.
They've given up coming into the game 22 points in the second half all
Mm,
year combined all year,
that's incredible, man.
and they gave up 7 in this game. So now it's 29 points in the second half over 5 games.
That's a that's incredible. Yeah, they're the number one rush defense in football, and they are the I think they might be number one overall. I didn't look at that, but they are playing incredibly well. Uh, they have they also have a guy who's on the cusp, I think, of being what Sertan is for the Broncos is a shutdown cornerback. And I'm desperately trying to find his name as I'm talking, and I'm terrible at multitasking, so I just typed the wrong thing. Trent McDuffie. This dude, did you see what he did to Chris Olave in this game?
Yeah,
Olave had 3 fantasy points.
yeah, and he's a stud.
Yeah, he's an absolute stud, and he was shut down.
Shaheed
So,
did really well, 86 yards.
who did?
Rashid Shaheed.
Oh, Rashid Shaheed has become a really good. He's not just like deep threat once or twice a game kind of guy anymore. He's a real all around good receiver now. I'm very impressed with that
Yep, absolutely, totally agree. Let's see the penalties. 11 penalties in this one.
guy. Relatively light day. That's crazy.
Time of possession is even bigger than the Giants.
Oh yeah,
39, almost 40, 40 minutes for Kansas City. 39 minutes and 56 seconds
that
of
does make
possession.
sense. Having watched it, but I didn't catch that stat. That's
In New
very cool.
Orleans, 20 minutes.
Did you see that, by the way, that insane? Oh, and 2 things, both about Derek Carr. One, he threw one of the worst interceptions you'll ever see in the first quarter of that game. He just
Yeah,
winged it up in the air about 80 yards up in the air, not 80 yards down the field. And it just hung up there like a freaking, fly ball on Sunday afternoon. It was insane. And then he got hurt at the end of the game, towards the end of the game last like halfway through the fourth quarter. And it's just something to keep an eye on. He might not play next week.
I could see that. Talking about bad interceptions, not to go back too far, but the Green Bay game, that Jordan Love interception was brutal.
Oh, and he'll do that from time to time, man.
Oh
He'll
man, that was brutal. That was the
he'll go
shortest
he'll
pick six ever. The guy caught it on the 2 yard line.
he goes. He does have a. It's perfect that he's in Green Bay because he does have a propensity to go full on Brett Favre mode every now and then.
Okay. Last thing I have for any of the games, uh, Dak Prescott threw 2 interceptions, one on Sunday and one on Monday in the same game.
Oh, that's right, because it crossed over midnight.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a good one, man. That's a good one. That's really good. Yeah, because that game started so late.
Yeah. It was over after midnight. The second one was thrown after midnight. The first one was thrown before midnight.
It's so funny because I want a little insight to my oddities. Especially for the games that are it's only one game on, like the Sunday and Monday nighters. I have a DVR on my cable, and I'll hit record, and I'll do something else for an hour and a half until I can go back and watch the game without commercials. Okay.
Right. And catch up.
Exactly. And that's if I ever don't answer you when you're texting me during football, that's why, because I haven't caught up yet. But so I did that with this game. I started it an hour and a half into the game, and I just kept like, oh, weather, and I kept, I got to the end of the hour and a half, and the game still hadn't started yet. I was like, oh wow, that's some serious weather.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's our okay. By the way, you got your upset correct again. Dallas was your upset.
That's right. I forgot. Thank you.
Mine was the Rams, so I got that wrong. I did not add up our week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3. I think I went 9-5. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, and you went 10-4 because of the Vegas Denver game. We get was our one that we were different on.
Yep, perfect, perfect.
All right, so you're back up by one. Um,
Hey, it's going to be that kind of season, I think, my man.
yeah, yeah, we don't we're not that different that often, to be honest.
No, that's true. That's absolutely true. And yeah, so we got to make our hay when we actually have differences.
All right, well, that's going to do it for the Week 5 review. Please make sure to join us for the Week 6 preview. It'll be out tomorrow, the next day. Make sure you check that out, or maybe later today. It depends. And by today, I mean Wednesday, because I'll be posting this on Wednesday morning. Maybe Wednesday night, I'll post the preview. But if not, it'll be out there Thursday morning. But that's going to do it. Al, anything else to add before we sign off for this one?
Nah, man, I'm good to go. Ready to do our preview of Week 6.
Can't wait. Okay, guys, that's going to do it. Until next time, I will see you later.